Hi, just wanted to make a very quick little video for you about your emotional connection style. And what we're going to look at is we're going to look at your hands, okay? What's going on in your hands, so that we can help you with that. But first of all, a little bit of background. And in case you don't know who I am, my name is Helen Elizabeth Evans, and I'm known as the UK's #1 scientific hand and fingerprint analyst. And I'm really passionate about our hands and fingerprints simply because of the difference that that understanding my own made in my life. Your hands are very much a reflection of how your brain works and how you're designed to operate and how you do things naturally. There are some things that are permanently programmed into who you are and who you're here to be, and there are other things that just simply are your habits that show up in your hands and that you can make some adjustments and changes to. So today we're going to look very much at, and I should take my glasses off so you can see me, the different types of heart lines you have in your hands. And the heart lines are based on, let me show you my hand so that you can have a look at your own. I'd love you to have a look at your own hand, okay? So in your own hand, if I turn this around, okay, there are, can you see that there's this line that goes down here? This line that goes like this, and then there's this one that starts here and goes that way. This bit is your heart line. This is what matters. This is your emotional style, okay, your emotional connection style. You might have a line that just curves straight like this and goes straight up underneath this finger in a very shallow curve. That would be sort of, you know, the typical person who's really nice. You're nice, you're kind, you're sensitive, you're very caring about other people. You always try to, in some ways, one of the challenges of that line is you tend to probably be a bit of a good girl or a good guy. Okay, you could have a heart line that does this and curves up underneath this finger here, right? It has a usually much stronger curve, and as it curves up underneath here. That one is that you're very, very passionate. And one of the challenges with very passionate people is that they tend to be quite self-orientated. This is not always a bad thing, and I'll explain more in a minute what I mean. Or you could have a really short, straight, sort of like flat sort of heart line that ends fairly soon, like almost as if it's just got this line here, that's it. That would be the Hermit Hotline, and I'll explain a bit more about that in a minute. Or you could have a heart line a bit like my husband's, which goes all the way across his palm, almost in a straight line like that. And that would be the humanitarian heart line, the one that kind of goes off like that. So if we're looking at these different connection styles that you have, and maybe I will draw them on my flip chart in a moment, what I want you to think about is, what is your emotional connection style? Now, you saw actually from my heart line on my left hand that I just showed you now, that actually I've got 3 different lines, 3 different types of heart lines in my left hand. My right hand just has the nice girl heart line. So that's how I like to show up in the world. Your right hand is how you like to show up in the world. And your heart lines can be different for your public persona and for your private persona. So in a public, I always am the nice girl, right? I have a tendency to behave that way. And so I like my relationships to be even-keeled and go really reasonably well. However, in my personal life, I like things a little more complex, right? And one of the things that I had forgotten about recently is actually the Hermit heart line in my hand. I had ignored that. And that Hermit heart line means that I need sometimes to not share about everything that's going on for me. Sometimes it's appropriate for me to just keep things to myself, to have times to deal with what's going on for me emotionally on my own. I don't need to share with everybody else. I don't need to fully connect with other people. And so it's very important when you look at your heart lines to look at each aspect of your heart lines to decide, how should I actually, what should be my emotional style? Right? Another aspect, if you've got the very passionate heart line, right, that is, you know, you want a really passionate, intense relationship with people with this, you know, whether it's shouting or love and everything else doesn't matter. As long as there's passion and intensity to what you're doing, then you're much happier. And that's when you feel most comfortable. But also when we're in relationship with other people, it's really important for us to realize that their style may be different to our style. And that doesn't mean that we can't love them or they can't love us. It just means we need to understand each other's style. So another thing that shows up in your hands besides your heart lines is in your fingerprints is, you know, what type of style of love do you give? So for my husband, it's very much, a service-related love. He likes to show how he cares for me by the things he does for me. I'm not in the school of service. So for me, I'm in the school of love and wisdom. And when you're in the school of wisdom, the thing that really kind of, gets you going is you love intellectual conversation. That's the way you love to share, is can you listen to me? Can you hear me? Can you engage with me intellectually? Then I feel loved. And also with the school of love, it's very much about physical affection and hugging, etc. So I'm into my hugging big time, and my husband's into shrugging me off, knowing, but I don't take it seriously, but if I did, it might be a little challenging. So it's about understanding each other's, love strategies and what you need from a relationship. However, now that I know that I need, because I'm the nice girl too, so I like the affection, right, that shows up in my heartline. I like physical affection. My husband knows I need that now because I've been able to communicate that to him, so he'll give it to me. And I will do things for him because I know that's the way. He's the humanitarian. He's the one. It's all about consideration for the other person, right? You should always be considerate. One of the challenges, of course, with people who are incredibly considerate is that they don't always consider themselves. They're always, out there taking care of everybody else and not necessarily taking care of themselves. And so it's really important to actually sort of take some time out for yourself and to look after yourself if you have a humanitarian heartline, because you will have better connections with other people if you're able to also fill up your reserves so that you can then continue to be as considerate as you normally are. I'm going to run out of battery very shortly. So I would like to ask you, please, if you are interested in my lives, please, there's a button apparently somewhere in here, I can't see it on my screen, which gives you the opportunity to actually subscribe to my live video. So if you want to know that I'm going live, then you can subscribe, and you'll get a little notification from Facebook next time I'm planning to go live, just to hear that I'm actually on. I'd also love it if you really found this video useful, if you could put comments below and let me know what you thought. I'd love to know about your love strategies. This is obviously just a real small taster of what we can find out about your emotional connection style. For me, just in case I wasn't 100% clear, it's very much about conversation. That is my emotional connection style. It's also very much about pleasantries and having a pleasant experience with people. And that's my emotional connection style in the outside and how I want to show up in public. On a personal level, it's again about affection. It's also about consideration, but it's also about me needing time out away from everybody else to process and deal with my emotions before I come out and I'm willing to share them. So, what is your style based on what I've shared with you? Have you looked at your hands? Have you looked and seen what's going on in your hands? I'd love you to share with me in the comments below, and then I will come back and I will comment on them for you. Let me know what you think. This is Helen Evans, Helen Elizabeth Evans, if you're looking for me again. And please stay in touch. Please stay connected. Take care. Thank you very much. Oh, don't forget. Oh, by the way, if you've enjoyed this video, I would love it if you shared it with your friends. Really appreciate that very much. Thanks so much. Bye.